Hello there. Now that Stephen Flynn has effectively ousted Ian Blackford as the SNP leader in Westminster, we might see a bit of fracturing within the SNP. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and then like and comment below. So Stephen Flynn has unseated the sturgeon lackey in Westminster, Ian Blackford. And not only will this put some friction between Westminster and Holyrood while Sturgeon is the party leader, it will hopefully also lead to a quiet and less verbose section in Prime Minister's questions. Now, by all accounts, Blackford was definitely a Sturgeon man and towed her line. But Flynn is a different kettle of fish, so to speak. And the Herald says, "The result is a blow for Nicola Sturgeon, with the parliamentary party snubbing her close ally in favour of a candidate who looks set to distance the group from the leadership in Edinburgh." The Scottish Tory chairman, Craig Hoy, called it a humiliation for Nicola Sturgeon, and the Telegraph called his selection a huge blow to Nicola Sturgeon's authority, with talk that the SNP MPs in Westminster are not happy with the direction they are getting from Sturgeon, especially where the drive to try and make the next UK general election a de facto vote on Scottish independence in Scotland is concerned. So it all sounds to me like the SNP in Westminster want independence from the SNP in Holyrood, or at least a bit more devolution. And one area of discord here is that of North Sea oil and gas extraction. Nicola Sturgeon is opposed to new drilling there, but this of course blows a hole in her independence economy, whereas Flynn wants the SNP to drop this policy of opposition. Well, that will make him a target for the eco-loons, of course. Maybe they'll all go to Scotland and protest up there for a bit. Now here's a little snippet you may not have come across yet. According to the University of Reading, there was a spike of methane during the lockdown period. And methane is classified as a greenhouse gas that is far worse than carbon dioxide. And the university says that reduced transport emissions led to lower levels of a chemical called the hydroxyl radical that acts like a detergent to remove methane from the atmosphere, researchers say. And according to one of the boffins, William Collins, Professor of Climate Sciences at the University of Reading, we saw a large rise in methane during the COVID-19 lockdowns, so it was important to understand why this was happening, as methane is a potent greenhouse gas responsible for a significant fraction of the current global warming. Our research shows that reduced travel during the pandemic played a part in this surge, as fewer cars on the road and planes in the sky meant less of this methane cleaning detergent in the atmosphere. Wonder why that's not front page news? So, the UK is going to use more fracked gas. That's right, the UK has now struck a deal for fracking. But not here in the UK. No, we've offshored the whole shebang to the US, as it's being reported that Rishi Sunak is on the verge of striking a deal with sleepy Joe Biden. A deal to double US supplies of liquefied natural gas derived from fracking sites, taking the total to up to 10 billion cubic metres a year. So when eco-loons stick themselves to street furniture and works of art, or walk slowly along the highways demanding the UK allows no new oil and gas licences, sleepy Joe Biden will be issuing his own US licences on our behalf to supply us. And supply us they will, at a nice inflated price, coupled with extra expenditure of energy to compress the gas, transport it over here in huge ships, then decompress it at this end. Now Rishi Sunak said, Together, the UK and the US will ensure the global price of energy and the security of our national supply can never again be manipulated by the whims of a failing regime. We have the natural resources, industry and innovative thinking we need to create a better, freer system and accelerate the clean energy transition. This partnership will bring down prices for British consumers and help end Europe's dependence on Russian energy once and for all. Well, we, as in the US and the UK, may have the natural resources, but the UK government is now controlled by green WEF muppets and will not use ours. Probably because Sunak wants all the North Sea oil and gas profits channelled directly into the Treasury, instead of into supplying more oil and gas for us to use. And Charles McAllister, the director of the onshore oil and gas industry body, UK Oil and Gas, said, "It is the height of hypocrisy for the government to disallow shale gas development in the UK whilst chasing deals with the US to buy their shale gas. Gas imports do not offer the economic, environmental or geopolitical merits a domestic industry would offer. The government's strategy is clearly to offshore our environmental responsibilities and economic opportunities at the expense of UK households, businesses and taxpayers." Well, that just about sums it up. But what we are going to do is relax the rules on where wind turbines can be built. Instead of requiring almost unanimous support from the local community, wind turbines will be placed where there is general support. Now, more wind turbine actually leads to higher demand for wood, because turbine blades do contain tons of balsa wood as well as all that carbon fibre to encase it and all the concrete, steel and wiring, etc. And back in 2021 and earlier this year, stories were emerging of balsa forests being laid waste in the race to supply the turbine industry. And last month, The Guardian reported that there had been rapid growth in demand for balsa wood used in turbine blades that had reportedly led to workers in Ecuador's Amazon region being subject to substandard labour conditions, including payment being made with alcohol or drugs. And despite balsa being a really fast-growing tree, the report also said that the demand for balsa has also reportedly increased deforestation and affected the land rights of indigenous people in Peru. So it seems balsa demand is outstripping supply, and here was me thinking wind power was meant to be sustainable. So while everyone points their fingers at the oil and gas industry, the green industry is guilty of the same crimes, especially where mining for battery elements is concerned, with the same report saying Amnesty International found that children, some as young as 7, were working in artisanal cobalt mines, often for less than $2 a day. All sounds more brown than green to me. Anyway, the upshot is that the PM, Rishi Sunak, has decided to offshore natural gas profits and increase demand for balsa wood. But don't you think the green industry should clean up its act before we use their wares? And finally, when subscribing, please don't forget to press that little bell and also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch the show.